3 men just jumped up to try to find something to grab on our boat. 1 got up and 2 fell into the water, and the dinghy just disappeared in the darkness.
Last time on Sailing Kittiwake, we ventured up the coast of Majorca, leaving Sacalobra, an anchorage which is quite literally gorgeous, before stopping off at Cala San Vicente and rounding Cap de Formentor. While we were based in Poyensa, we explored more of the calas of northeast Majorca, home to some true gems like Cala Figuera, Cala Engosalba and Cala Esmoro. Poyensa itself is within a big sheltered bay, offering lovely flat water sailing between these beautiful anchorages. The mountains provide a perfect backdrop to every sunset, and the fire planes offer great entertainment for those on the hook. While anchored in Poyensa, we caught up with our friends on Good Vibes and Wilma. Friedrick and Helena from Wilma told us the story of encountering a migrant boat at sea when they sailed from the mainland to the Balearics. So today we are on SY Wilma. It's a Colin Archer design 33-foot ferrocement sailboat. It's really, really charming, and we're excited to be here with Friedrick and Helena, who have really kindly agreed to talk to us about their experience saving a dinghy full of migrants in the Mediterranean.
Hi, my name is Helena.
And my name is Friedrick, but everybody calls me Choppe, so you can call me whatever.
Yeah, and we are sitting here with our friends, and we were talking about our experience we had with rescue the immigrants on the Med a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, time flies. So yeah. And we were on our way from Mar Menor, south of Spain, to over to Formentera, and we started like 10 o'clock in the morning.
We were 5 boats leaving at the same time.
Yeah, and we left, and everything was perfect. Great day at sea, and the weather was really nice, and everything was perfect.
Sunny, good sailing winds.
Yeah, and suddenly in the middle of the night, I've been sleeping, so Helena was on watch. We had a cup of tea together when we changed. Quite often we do that. We take a cup of tea and we talk to each other what's happened last couple of hours, and if something happened or whatever.
We had some contact on the radio with Susan because she's a solo sailor. So everything was fine.
And when we had this cup of tea, we were sitting out and watching, and saw a light.
In the back of the boat, so in the distance, in the horizon somewhere.
And it was just a flashlight, something, white light. So it's not any navigation lights or whatever. So, and we thought maybe it's a fishing boat, because they can have quite strange lightning sometimes.
And then the light disappeared, so it all got black again, and then we forgot about it. We finished our cup of tea, and then I went to bed, and you continued sailing the boat.
Yeah, and when I'm on watch, I'm sitting like, half asleep, half awake, looking around, and everything was so smooth and so nice. And suddenly I hear something first, a sound. Like a big boat or something coming.
The engine.
Yeah, the engine. And then I realized that it's something. So I was a little bit more wake up and looked out, and I couldn't see anything. And very soon I saw a flashlight quite close to our boat. And then I saw 11 people. I didn't count them then, but we did it after, of course. But we saw a lot of people in the dinghy, and the dinghy was not very big. I can say maybe 5.5 meter, something. Not the inflatable one, it was a hard one. Quite stable boat with a 40 horsepower engine on. And those 11 immigrants was like screaming, like yelling for their life, or I thought they will kill me, take over the boat and just throw us in the sea, and then they have a nice boat or whatever. So I shouted to Helena, come up,
So yeah,
and start the engine.
Yeah, so I was in bed, and my heart went quickly, and you know, I was almost naked. So yeah, the key, and I started the engine, and I just had my underwear on, and I need some clothes on, and at the same time I heard people screaming, and I heard another engine, and I didn't know what was going on up there. So I got my overall on, because that was the quickest. I got the engine running, and
you came up with one shoe, and the other one was still down there.
I didn't have time to put my shoes on, so one was still in the boat, and I had the other one in the hand. And there I saw the same as you were, and there was this dinghy in the water, backwater of our boat, this dinghy going back and forward, and people screaming, and we could see they're wide open because they were really scared, desperate, and we tried to shout to them, calm down, because we would call for help, but we didn't get any connection with them. They were just too scared.
Yeah, and when you came up after just like 1 or 2 minutes, they disappeared in the dark.
And meanwhile, I had made a call on the radio. And first we started with
Pan.
Yeah,
no, first we called Coast Guard,
and we didn't get any reply, so we changed that to pan message, and I think we didn't get any reply to start with, so we called for the boat Good Vibes.
Our friends who started the same time when we left the Mar Menor.
And they were a couple of hours in front of us, and they continued making calls for Pan to help us, so I could go up on deck, so we could hear it that he continued.
And that's a funny thing, when you're two, even if you're two on a boat, and one is occupied with the radio, then you are quite busy, the other person. So it's really nice, and we thank them very, very much, the Good Vibes, that they relayed our call, so we didn't have to take care of the radio. And that's quite good to know. If somebody have this problem, ask them, can we help you to have the contact on the radio?
Yeah, so we got like a third hand, or the third person
helping us then.
Yeah, so
we went up on deck, and then we saw them coming on the starboard side.
Because they did a turn out, and we thought, oh, now they're leaving, and we can just call for rescue. So they went away, and suddenly they came.
I think they came around 10-12 knots, just hitting right into our starboard side. It was like a kaboom.
They were really punched out the boat, the little dinghy, and at the same time 3 men just jumped up to try to find something to grab on our boat. 1 got up, and 2 fell into the water, and the dinghy just disappeared in the darkness. There we were with one man
laying on deck like a child,
shaking,
and he was really frightened, of course. And we were really frightened because we didn't know the other 2 who fell in the water. How shall we do with them? And their friends, are they coming back? Are they coming with the big knives or whatever? We didn't know, because it's a mess. And but we took that guy back to our cockpit.
We told him to sit and stay calm.
And we gave him water and a blanket. And then we realized he's a friendly guy. He's a friend.
It took like 2 seconds.
Because you can see on him, he's not going to do anything. So he sat down, and
at the same time you press the mob button. So we know.
So we know that where we had the man overboard. So we know where to look for
them.
The position. And
then you went to the radio.
Yeah, and then I called because we had people in the water. Then I called the Mayday, and man overboard, Mayday, Mayday. And what's happened then was that our friends thought it was Helena who had felt in the water. So they got scared, like, yeah, you know, really scared.
Because you were the one who...
which were on the radio. And yeah, and then what happened then?
Well, good vibes. He realized, because we said after a while that we had been hit by immigrants, and there were 2 men in the water, and it was a Mayday. So he helped us again with this Mayday message instead. And he got a connection with the rescue team, with the rescue station, MRCC. And then after a while we got direct connection with the rescue station. So we...
And the helicopter.
Yeah.
And they sent the helicopter direct from Alicante. It took like 30 minutes.
Till they came?
Yeah.
No, 1 hour.
1 hour. Yeah, from the start, of course. Yeah. So 1 hour it took. And then we had direct connection to the helicopter. And we had started to circulate to see if we could find the persons in the water.
Because we had turned the boat, we took the sails down and we disconnected the autopilot. You know, when you're sailing, you can't just stop like that. So it took a while before we could turn the boat.
Yeah, but it's quite quick anyway. So it went back.
And we found the...
We found the dinghy.
But no man in the water, just the dinghy.
Just the dinghy. And then we asked the guy, because he spoke only French and Helena speaks some French, and they started to have a conversation about how many people were you in the boat. And then he said 11. Perfect. Then we went up and looked, not too close to the dinghy, because we wouldn't let them on board again, try to get on board to our boat. So we counted and we only found 7 people in the dinghy. So we started again and we looked...
Circling.
Yeah, circling, and because maybe he didn't want to tell us if they have drowned or whatever. So we started, but then we saw that 2 people were lying. 3 people were lying on the floor on the boat.
So the rest had to sit on the edge of the little boat.
And then we realized his 11 was correct, and there were 10 people in the boat then. So everything were
And
correct.
the boat still had the engine working?
No. They had dropped. They ran out of the petrol, and the last petrol they had in a jerry can they had lost probably when they jumped over, and we saw the jerry can in the water, and it was a smell of all over the area with the petrol.
And when they hit it, we think probably we know that it was a last chance. So they had this petrol in the engine, and it set everything on one card and tried to get as many people up on the boat. And then,
So with a helicopter, because they came and they were circling around above our mast, they didn't do an attempt to rescue them up to the helicopter because no one was any longer in the water. So instead they just were standing by and supporting us. Meanwhile we were waiting for the rescue boat.
And they asked if somebody was really injured or really sick or whatever, but they weren't. So they were just quite in bad condition, very cold, without water, but they were not really in
they were very seasick.
So they were not really in emergency in that way.
No.
So that's what the shopper did. They said that we wait for the rescue boat because it's easier to take them up to the boat.
Yeah, it's a riskful operation with a shopper. But we were circling around the boat. We had the helicopter above our mast, and
I was a little bit afraid for a while because they smelled a lot of petrol in the area, and they were probably full with petrol, and then they started to smoke. So I was a little bit we kept the distance if everything is going to blow up, but of course it didn't. So that was lucky.
So now we had the men on our deck, the immigrant, and we could start talking to him and ask him questions, and he could also start talking to his friends. So he shouted to them, and they shouted back. So we knew that they were really poorly, that they were frozen, they were cold, they were seasick, had no water, had no petrol. And what we know by them was that they had been out for 5 days. They left from Algeria, and they were lost. And probably, I mean, where we were, it was completely in the middle, very close to the Balearics, 40 nautical mile, with no other boats, no fairways, no coast close.
So it was quite, if they missed the Balearics, they have probably,
a couple of more days, and and they were drifting, because when we were circling around them, we all drifted quite fast southeast back to Algeria, so they would have missed Algeria.
It's incredible that they didn't get any really bad weather, because if they'd been hit by some Mediterranean storms,
too small boat with
but
11.
I talked to my brother. He's a sea captain, and he been working with this kind of questions for his company, and he says that they don't leave when it's bad weather. They know about the weather, so they don't let them out until the weather is quite stable. That's why you don't find any people going crossing when it's bad weather. So it's always when it's good weather, then you find it. Of course, because
but
otherwise,
of course, if you are out for 5 days,
no, you not know what happened when the days passed. Of course, so
well,
this is quite common.
But
in the Med, but it's not very common that pleasure boat find them. It's the big ships who find them out there, and
So after the first call, it took 1 hour for the helicopter to arrive, and it took another 2 hours till the rescue boat arrived. And by that time, our friend Susan, the Zulu sailor, has arrived. She was 20 minutes from us, so she was there as well. And
when she arrived, they tried to start their engine, the immigrants, and they got it started for a while. And Helena just shouted on the radio,
get away. They went after her boat, because she has a really small boat, and it's very easy to get up on deck on her boat. And we were afraid that she would have 10 people on her little boat. But their engine stopped again. And after that she kept the distance.
Yeah.
But with the rescue boat, when they came, they first picked up the men in the dinghy, and meanwhile we were putting up fenders, and it was quite bumpy. The sea was quite bumpy, no big waves, but and 2 big boats next to each other, it's really trouble. It's you're a little bit afraid that they hit together, but we made it fine, and as soon as we were close enough, the man could jump over to the rescue boat, and then they reverse and disappeared with the dinghy towed after, and we could continue to the Balearics.
Thankfully.
Yeah, after 3 hours.
And it's very emotional when 6, I think it was 6 or 7 people standing on deck and thank you. They thank us for their lives. It's quite. When I think about it, still I get.
The man we had on board before he got rescued picked up by the rescue boat, he said sorry, we put you into this situation, so, because we had spent 3 hours together, and now we had become some sort of friends.
Yeah. And one thing which was quite funny, when you meet a person like that in panic and fighting for their life, and you have to start to get personal to each other because you have a relationship now. So, and how do you do that? And I realized he was like
18, 20.
20, 22 maybe, like that. And what do you talk about? And he speaks Arabic and French, and I don't speak Arabic and I don't speak French. So when we were sitting there, and then I had a icebreaker. Do you know Zlatan Ibrahimovic, the football player? Yeah, he said.
I know they probably could have died if we weren't there.
Yeah.
And then I feel quite proud that we help people.
Yeah, you're heroes.
Yeah, no, not a hero, because everybody should do that, helping each other. It's I will not say hero, absolutely not, because you're not. Everybody has to help people in that kind of situation. It doesn't matter if it is on the sea, if it is an aircraft accident or a land car accident or whatever. People should help each other. And that's, I think, a human responsibility to do that.
But it takes a lot to stay calm and do the right thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we are proud of that we solved the situation in the very good way, because
And
we've been talking afterwards.
Yeah.
Could we have done it in another way, and could we?
No. I mean, you did absolutely right, I think. When people are out sailing, then it's important, if something happens, you have a man overboard, you have an engine failure in wrong position, you have a mast breaking, you have whatever. Talk with the crew so the crew can handle the boat in all kind of situation. If I have a stroke, it's very important that Helena can
Manage
the boat in all kind of things. So I think that's the most important for a crew on a boat, that everybody knows. Because we heard a lot of accidents happen with people that very often the man know everything and the girlfriend or the woman just sailing with him. And then a lot of trouble. So I think it's very, very important to handle the boat, both or all the crew in all kind of conditions.
What would you say if someone finds themselves in this situation? What tips would you give them in terms of how to deal with it?
Take it calm. Look over the situation, what's happening. And if you are on a boat, as we were, you have to prove for all the people who is the captain to giving order. Because with this kind of people, they are scared, they are fighting for their life, they are really...
They could be dangerous.
Yeah,
I mean, because
for
they're
themselves
yeah.
and for us. So you have to show who is in command for a while. And after that, when the situation is okay and everybody is on the boats again or whatever, and after that then you can have another attitude, because when things happen, it's very hard to be, you have to be very strict ordering for a while.
We'd like to thank our brave friends Chopper and Helena for sharing their story. We learned a lot from it, and we hope you did too. Well done to them, Margrethe and John on Good Vibes, and Susan on Isean for dealing with a difficult situation. While they brush it off, their actions saved 11 lives. Check out Wilma's and Good Vibes blogs and Susan's Instagram account in the description below. Join us next time for a passage to a new island, Majorca.